Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another insane, obviously, edition of Crime and Sports. We have a fun one for you because we have a couple of Australians today here.
A couple?
They're brothers. You can't. It's a brother act. You can't break them up. They're both a disaster.
Yeah.
One more than the other, but we have it all for you today. I mean, this is crazy Australian quotes. They're the best quote. Australians have quote an Australian. That's just always going to be the best quote. It's going to be hilarious. Between the quotes, there's death, there's destruction, there's drugs, there's murder, there's it all. We have it all for you today. Sorry about Sergio Mitre last week. That's one that I feel like, holy shit, that was such a wild episode. I almost feel like
discomfort.
We need to go. Yeah, I understand you probably weren't tuning in to hear about something like that, but you know what? Fuck it, it happens. So
listen,
we do our best. Very quickly, you want tickets for live shows the rest of the year? ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com is where you get those. Also, merch is up. New merch all the time. New things that merch goes on, they add all the time. So get in there, check that out. You definitely want to go over to Patreon, patreon.com/crimeinsports, and you want to get all the bonus stuff there. Anybody $5 or above, you are going to get everything. Whole back catalog. There's over 200 episodes, or I think there's almost 200. There's a shitload of bonus episodes on there for you, and you get new ones every other week.
Yeah.
It's the best bargain going. And new ones this week, which you're going to get for Crime and Sports. We're going to do something a little bit different. I love it, because we've been talking about actual sports the last couple of them, and, we like to wander on Patreon. Yeah. We're going to just talk about something so fun. The hardest I've ever seen Jimmie laugh. We're going to talk about Stairway to Stardom, which is a public access show with people singing horribly from the late 70s to the early 90s. It's the most absurd. A lot of people have talked about it. We're not the first people to, discover this or anything. It's been out there, but holy shit, is it funny. We'll play some clips of the terrible songs.
Oh, great.
And we will piss ourselves laughing. It's going to be great. Then for Small Town Murder, it's that time again, the prisoner dating game, everybody.
Yes.
Line up. Holy shit. Our most popular by far Patreon going here. The prisoner dating game. Can't wait, everybody. It's so good. So get in there. That is patreon.com/crimeinsports. And you get a shout out at the end of the show.
You bet.
Where Jimmie will butcher your name, especially if it's Italian or Eastern European. So,
I apologize.
That said, let's get right into this with a couple of Australian. First of all, Australians. Whenever we do an Aussie episode, they're always extra crazy.
Yeah.
Ben Cousins, the dude who pissed in his mouth.
Right.
The bubbler. We got. It's always nuts with an Aussie, you know what I mean? To get our attention over here, it has to be extra crazy. That's the thing, because we're pretty far away from you, so it takes a while for information to swim on over here from across there.
The crazier stuff travels. It paddles faster.
It paddles fast. Crazier stuff gets on a plane.
Yeah.
Comes over
with
here.
Meth up its ass.
Yeah, first class with meth up its ass. Whereas the other stuff, not so much. So we're going to talk about a couple of brothers, and they're Australian skateboarders. So not a lot of sports, obviously, this week. It will be mainly just insanity, because it's hard to talk about sports with skateboarding. Like, he came in third in a ramp contest. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing. So there's not much there. So you want to talk about crazy. Obviously, skateboarders are crazy.
They're the nuttiest.
They're the nuttiest. You add them, and then you mix in Australian with it, and you have, holy shit,
boy.
You have a couple of wild people. And it's Tas and Ben Pappas.
Taz.
Taz, T-A-S. Taz and Ben Pappas.
Well, that's how Tasmania is spelled, right? With an S?
With an S, yeah.
Tasou.
T-A-S-O-U. Tasou Micah Pappas and Benjamin James Pappas. Okay. Let's name him
something very crazy.
Something just totally out there, and then Benjamin James for you. That's it. So, and maybe it's family stuff because Taz is the older one. He's born in 1975, and then Benjamin James is 1978. So
maybe they got religious in that year and just hit him with some biblical shit.
Who knows? We're getting on some biblical shit. They're both from Melbourne, so that's where they are. Melbourne here. They are born to a poor family. Their family doesn't have shit here in Melbourne. They have nothing. Taz will say we were basically bogans. B-O-G-U-N-S, which is Australian for white trash. That's Australian for trailer trash there. That's what that is. Bogans.
It's a good word.
Yeah, it's a decent one. So that we're going to get a lot of fun Australian slang in this one.
Terrific.
Because much like the Cockney English, give us like the Northern English there, give us some real fun slang up there too.
Yeah,
because that's kind of where their trash is, from what I hear.
From what I've told,
I'm told, we don't know. So this is, I feel like we're going to get fun stuff. The Aussie version of that here. Their parents are Bill and Kerry, and his father's Egyptian. Maybe that's where Tassau came from, or Tassou. Maybe probably it's a family name. He's born in Egypt, but he's Greek. So he's a Greek Egyptian.
Lives in Australia.
Yeah, and he's going to Mars. So, no, this is just very different places, all of them. Could be, throw anything in there.
It's a ticket to Mars.
It's a ticket to Mars. It's like a Mad Lib of where he's from, what he is, where he's from, and then where he went to. It's fucking makes no sense, but okay.
It probably missing terribly, a big swing and a miss, but you can almost picture exactly what this man's like.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He sounds like the shawarma man when he talks. Yeah. That I do know.
It's a fascinating individual.
He absolutely will tell you, I make for you, or sign say closed. He's the sign say closed guy.
He's the hairiest man in Australia.
Yes, yeah. She say she have money that no give to us. She's that guy.
No give to me.
She no give to me. That no give to me. Fucking so his mother is an Australian, just a white lady Australian here.
Hell yeah.
She's a caterer, the mom. His parents separated though when they were young. So they grew up with their parents separated. And Taz says, Mom was a young mother, She made some mistakes. Dad would come home and realize she'd just left us there alone, and then boom, there'd be fireworks. So Mom would run out, leave the kids alone.
And then he was pissed that they were alone.
Then he was pissed they were alone. Where I don't know where he was to begin with.
He's mad Mom's got to pay her own fucking bills.
I don't know. He said they fought all the time, though. Mm-hmm. Taz says she'd attack him, and then he'd hit her back. She'd smash him with an ashtray. It was bonkers.
Holy.
Yeah, this is West Virginia, Australia we're talking about here. This is...
Smash him with an ashtray and then he'd punch her?
This is the whites here. This is what it sounds like. Well, yeah, she'd attack him, he'd punch her, and then she'd say, I need some extra firepower, and go back for an ashtray. He also says, quote, I was sexually abused by my auntie's friend when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
What the fuck?
My auntie Vicky lived with us, and there was some prick who came round and ended up sexually abusing me, fucking pedo. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, obviously that's terrible. So that's gonna lay out a certain.
It'll certainly rewire your brain.
That's what I mean. Up. That's gonna reshuffle the cards a little bit there.
Absolutely.
That's everyone's putting their hand back in. We've after that
the king's out. Too.
Yeah, but it's not great. So
yikes.
He said at the same time I was wetting the bed and the parents were fighting, and I had this babysitter who would rip me out of the bed by the hair and bash me around because I'd wet the bed and shit.
Because this kid's been abused.
And it just keeps perpetuating here. I had a lot of pretty shitty things happen to me, and I never told anyone. So
poor bastard, Jesus.
Yeah. And he probably, as a kid that age, I don't know if he felt like, well, Mom just hit Dad with an ashtray, so their problems they have their own problems. I mean, I can't, I don't know how to breach this at this point with them,
Yeah.
Like a kid needs to have feel like they have a safe alley to walk down to tell somebody this type of shit, or else they're not going to. And if you're terrified of mom and dad at the same time and don't want to cause any strife because it might lead to implements being used.
May cause more warfare in the house. So he's seeing how relationships are between adults, and then he's seeing how relationships are between adults and children by them yelling at him, and then he sees the other relationships with adults and children by this fucking dirtbag that comes around to touch him.
It's fucking disgusting. It really is.
Horrible.
So that's awful right away. So, I mean...
Yeah. He's got no chance.
We already have a bad opening for a person,
Somebody's shit in the stew.
Yeah, we talk about, this person didn't have a floor. They had a dirt floor. This person used an outhouse. You put this kind of right in the mix there. Once they're 5 years old and mom and dad are physically fighting and you're getting molested by some fucking scumbag. This is not great. He says, my family was very dysfunctional. We were hurting as kids from a lot of the fights we saw. I always felt like I just wanted to get out of where I lived and I wanted to prove myself. I ended up having what I felt like a chip on my shoulder because of it all. Also, I wanted to get to America and become something.
Welcome to the club, my friend. Yeah.
I would also want to get continents away from these fucking people, too. Wouldn't you want to get continents away from your upbringing?
I literally want to get as far away from possible.
Like a day on a plane, like a whole day. Just keep flying.
A plane can't even make it there on one tank of gas. I need to stop over here.
Stop in Hawaii. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, that's, wow. I'm telling you, man, that's a lot. I
need to run a 747 out of gas and then keep going.
And then keep fucking going. And then I might get in a car and drive for another 4 or 5 days. I'm not sure yet. Because I could do that once I get there.
Holy.
Because this is ridiculous. So Taz and Ben would just basically go run around the neighborhood causing mischief because nobody was watching them. Their parents either weren't home or fighting with each other, so no one cares.
And I'd rather be in trouble than listen to that shit.
Yeah. He said it was Taz said it was just the neighborhood. A crew would steal a car, and we'd see it just sitting in a paddock. So one of us would chuck a rock at it, and then we'd break a window, and then it'd get lit on fire. That's a pretty big escalation. You need more than chuck a rock to breaking a window before you're setting a car ablaze, I think. Chucking a rock is like, tink. I hit it with a rock, man. Crazy.
It's already stolen. We may as well destroy it.
I just feel like he skipped a couple of steps is all I'm getting at. That's all. He really skipped a couple of steps there. So eventually skateboarding is what they got into because they seem like they're looking for something that's dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something that's kind of cool, fringy on the edge, and it's a lot of especially around that age too, because the late 80s and early 90s, like when I was a kid and got into skateboarding, is like 1990, and that seems like about when they got into it too. Was a pretty cool fucking era for skating as far as there was a lot of videos coming out. You could see people skating. There were skate shops popping up, like bike shops would have a big skateboard section now, and you could like go and look at boards, and there was just a lot going on that you could do. Boards
it was also
were
a time
changing.
Of change for marketing where graphics and a logo and a brand was like a big deal to a lot of things, but nothing more than skating. Skate brands and skate graphics, the
shirts,
all
the
that
stickers,
shit was so cool.
all that shit. Yeah. There was a certain thing about it at that time that it was becoming it was kind of blowing up in its own little weird microcosm. So I could see that. Now I didn't know it was doing that in Australia too. I had no idea. I was doing it in New York, but I didn't know about Australia.
A very small prism I was looking at.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was very local.
I would read Thrasher or whatever, but outside of that, it was, I was skating around Wappingers Falls, New York, and that was that. So they would, he said, skateboarding was always something special, Taz says. And he was asked by an interviewer, was it an escape from what was going on at home? Was that part of it? And he said, yeah, but it was just the fun, too. He said, we always were the way we were, a couple of bogans who are attracted to skateboarding. Just like a lot of Americans that are attracted to skateboarding. That's what it is. It's kind of, I can do this and you can't. So it's one of those things. It feels cool to be able to land a kickflip.
Sure does.
It really feels good. Because you're looking around, you're like, none of you can do that. You know how long it would take you from getting on this board to doing what I just did. So fucking long. That's weird.
And it looks wild because as somebody that doesn't do
the same way.
Yeah.
Stand
when
up
you don't do it
skateboarding,
though,
why am I attracted to this shit?
When you see somebody do it, you can't. The board moves so fast you can't see what the fuck just happened.
No.
And then all of a sudden it's back on its wheels, and that person just planned every movement that board just made. That's fucking crazy.
It's impressive, and it looks it looks really wild. But like I said, I think it is a lot like stand up. Like you have to be into it and fall and bruise yourself a lot before you look really cool. Yeah. And then anybody looking at you that goes, "Oh, I want to do that," you're like, "Yeah, motherfucker, get some bruises then, because it's gonna take a lot of bruises to be able to get up here and do that 20 minutes you just saw or land that kickflip."
And people that don't do it, when you get the laugh, you don't see what the board just did to make that laugh happen.
No. You just see
you
landed
was just
it.
Words and then laugh. You don't know what happened.
You saw the board doing some flippy shit, and now you're standing on it and it's rolling again. You're like, "God damn, that was impressive."
I stood in an alley for a long time trying to do this, right? With each of these words meaning something.
No shit. So they're pretty goddamn good at it. Taz really has no fear, basically. Yeah. So lack of fear is a really good thing in skateboarding. You can't have fear will cause you to not do things and to pull not do things as well. Skateboarding, if you have no fear, you go balls out, you're more likely to actually land things. It's weird.
Right.
So
and hesitation in a moment that's a snap that'll fucking break your neck.
You'll fuck it up. Yeah, if you get scared when you have to be able to walk that rope like if you're fucking say you're tail sliding down a handrail.
Yeah.
If you for a second think, "Oh shit, what am I doing?" and lose your balance, you're totally fucked. It's it's like those guys who are doing motorcycle racing and they're 2 inches off the ground going around a curve. If they think, "What am I doing right now?" and move a little bit, they're going to die. They have to. It just has to be your brain does it automatically. So they used to refer to themselves as Barnes and Elias, who that was their nicknames for each other. They are the rival sergeants in Platoon. That is, I believe, Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe in Platoon, I believe.
That's very funny.
That's who they're going after here. They said that in the one documentary about them there. And they said, Ben would think it through. This is what Taz says. Ben would think it through. I would just go for it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Taz is the kid who's like, "I'll go off that rope swing before we figure out how deep it is." He's that guy. Whereas Ben's like, "Let me look and see how this works first, and then I'll try it."
How old is this rope?
Yeah, how old is this rope? Are there rocks down there? Maybe we should, let's go poke around a bit.
What kind of weight do you think this holds?
Yeah, what do you think here? Ben called his brother's attitude Barnesing it. I guess, I don't know if he's... that's
one the careful guy in Platoon?
I don't know, because Berenger's the bad guy. But Willem Dafoe's a fucking maniac. He's the guy who crawls out of the tunnels and shit.
I don't think I've ever seen Platoon.
I think you do. Okay.
Is Arnold Schwarzenegger in it?
No. That's Predator. You're thinking of Predator. They came out at the same time, though. Same year, 6 months apart or something. Platoon is Charlie Sheen.
Oh,
Vietnam movie.
See it. No.
Oliver Stone directed. Charlie Sheen. Tom
It was
Berenger.
a serious Charlie Sheen movie?
It was his.
I want nothing to do with it.
Platoon's a good movie.
Platoon's
a good movie. Yeah, Charlie Sheen plays plays a college boy who signed up to go to Vietnam because he didn't think it was right that poor kids had to do it. And so now he's in Vietnam and it sucks. And everyone's like, "You fucking dummy. I wouldn't have come here. Fuck that shit." Yeah. So everyone thinks he's an idiot, basically. And he's like writing letters home saying how shitty it is. And his one sergeant's a sadistic fuck. And then the other guy's, it's a long story, but, it's a whole movie. It's a whole movie. It's like 2 hours.
It takes 2 hours to tell the story.
So never mind.
Maybe I'll watch it.
You should watch it. It's a good movie anyway.
Okay, I'll give it a chance.
So Taz said you can't just kick the doors open, is what he said. So I don't know what that means, but whatever. So they ended up getting some sponsorships and went on some kind of skating tours here. And right away, they're hanging around skaters. One thing skaters have is drugs. Especially back then. I don't know about now, but back then
they're still doing it. Yeah.
I'm sure, but I know back then that was like a big part of skating because it was like, oh, you can do drugs and still do this. This is cool. You know?
And matter of fact, people will like you more.
Yeah, and you might do it. You might come up with some ideas because it's kind of because it's kind of artistic. It's not just all athletic. It's kind of like in football. You know, doing a bunch of drugs the night before probably isn't a good thing for you, but in skating it might be. Who knows? So they started being around drugs and all that sort of thing. Here is Taz. He says, "We were the Groms on the first Alba Skateboards tour. We were in the team van when these guys were talking about all the coke they were doing and smoking bongs and drinking, but we didn't chop the drugs. Ben would have been 12 or less, and I would have been 13 or 14.
Chop. Does he mean coke and like powders and shit, or does he mean just like do any of it?
I think do
Probably
it.
Just
I think
do
he
any
means
of it.
do any of
too
it.
young.
So they're doing all this shit. Yeah, I mean, the one kid's 12 and the one's fucking 13, 14.
But they're in the bus with Alba's whole crew.
That's what I mean. But they're hanging around with 20-year-old kids who do hard drugs and get blowjobs, and it's very fucking weird here. So yeah, like nowadays, I think skating has a different reputation nowadays. Like.
You think so?
Yeah, I think the X Games, because even this article they're talking about it, but in the X Games has kind of cleaned it up a lot, kind of the image of it, because
they've certainly made it much more lucrative.
They've marketed it like, there's some shiny guys and all that. When we were kids, the skaters were like gross. The biggest scumbags were the coolest skaters, except for Tony Hawk always, who was fucking with his perfect little hair and his all that shit. But
fuck you, Tony.
Fuck you, Tony Hawk. But. The other guys, you wanted the crazy. Oh, that guy's crazy. It was like they were like rock stars like that. Like the crazy ones were interesting, Yeah,
and now they're so clean. It's so, I saw an Instagram video of a skater now that's famous, and he fucking nose grinded through his living room that's like 100 feet long. I was like, why does that guy have such a big place? And then he did a kickflip at the end of it and landed on his patio that overlooks a fucking canyon. I'm like, no, that's not skating.
That's interesting.
Why do you have so much money?
Wow, he set himself up quite nicely, I guess.
Yeah. Marble floors.
Man, that's fucking wild. So back then, it was like a tour bus. It was like a bunch of punk bands and a tour bus is what it was back then. It was a bunch of crazy
Sex
fucks.
Pistols.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So Taz and Ben ended up going over to the U.S. and by then they were doing some drugs. They started to do some drugs. Taz says, I wasn't doing it every day, but I would just go on major benders. I don't think that's great, probably for a teenager. So they located, at least Taz relocates to the U.S. when he's 17. He dropped out of high school a while ago anyway. So
he's done with school.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't care about that. All the skaters did, because back then you could make money. If you had sponsorships, you could make a couple $100,000 a year or go to fucking 11th grade.
Sure.
I mean...
that's
If you finish high school and get a job, it's going to take you 10 years to make what you can make in a year now.
Right.
So it's hard. It's not a hard decision, especially if you don't like school to begin with and you like drugs and skateboarding. So he ends up going there. They set up shop in where else? Tampa, Florida.
Hell yeah.
Of course. Perfect. Perfect.
Landed in Florida?
We're setting up in Tampa, everybody.
All right.
I guess you could skate a lot in Tampa anyway.
And Venice is expensive. I get it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So at the time, it was a lot of, and this was like skate ramps were the big deal at this point.
Yeah.
Like in the 1990s, early 90s, it started to change and street became more cool. But before that, even now, ramps, like if you do like an X Games thing, the ramp is the fucking show.
Right.
It's the show because it's a spectacular or whatever. Right. Watching a guy do what might even be more skilled shit in the street section isn't as interesting to people that aren't into the sport. So
a man flying 30 feet in the air while he's just spinning, holding onto a board that's not even taped to his feet,
and then landing on it, going
and then
back,
he lands on it. That's unbelievable.
It looks really fucking cool. So. They did really well, though. They ended up, the Pappas brothers end up doing really well in a bunch of contests, and by 1995, they get taken on by Danny Way's brand. Danny Way's a big skater, if you don't know, named XYZ Platinum Skateboards. So that's who they hook on with as a sponsor, which is cool for them because they're still kids. I mean, they're like, 17 and 19 at this point. So, but they're also partying very, very hard at this point.
Really?
They're making decent money and all that, and they're kids who like to party and are making decent money. So what do you think they're going to do with that money? fucking party and then skateboard. Yeah. So, shit. 1997 here. Here's an article from the Sydney Morning Herald in Australia here. And it says, Brothers of Slam open new doors. Okay. Says the Pappas brothers are in the house, says the public address system. Suddenly, 500 teenagers at Manly Skate Park turned their backs on a team of six U.S. skateboarders on the street-style ramps and rushed to the vertical ramp for a view of the celebrated siblings. Tas Pappas, 21, and his 18-year-old brother Ben are legends within this tight-knit scene. Last October, Tas became skateboarding's #1 when he won the $10,000 Hard Rock Triple Crown in Los Angeles. Ben is chafing at his heels at #2.
I don't like that word.
Chafing. He said, better still, in a sport dominated by Americans, they are both Australian. Born and raised in Melbourne, they've recently relocated to San Diego, California to skate the established U.S. circuit. Managed by their father, oh boy.
What?
Managed by their father, as we know how that always works out.
Yeah.
They are already reaping the rewards of big prize money and sponsorship deals. They are in Australia for a series of demonstrations and to compete in the final of the first Australian skateboarding titles on April 5th as part of the Surf Skate Slam Rock Festival. Oh, boy. The winner will receive $10,000.
That's the prize.
That's it. It costs like $2,000 to fly over there. So
that's crazy.
That's crazy. Ben Pappas agreed yesterday that sibling rivalry had helped push the brothers to the top. He said, yeah, we're pretty competitive. I'll probably knock him off eventually. We'll see what happens. Oh, look at you talking shit.
I'm going to murder him one day.
Yeah. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to push him off a cliff. Wait do you see?
Knock him off. That's not good wording.
Someday, Crime in Sports is going to have a ball with us. He said
his dad's from Egypt, but he's Greek, lives in Australia. Their last name is Spanish for potato. That's what this is.
Pappas is a Greek name.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Pappas is Greek. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's totally Greek.
Also the word for potato in Spanish.
I'm sure it is, but yeah, there's a lot of Greek guys named Pappas.
Okay.
Like a ton of them. Yeah. Like a lot of them.
I thought all of them last name had to end with Opolis.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of Pappas, and that might have been shortened from Pappasolopolis or some shit. So you never know. Seriously.
That's a bad last name, yeah. I'd shorten it too.
Yeah, Pappasolopolis. I'd short that myself. And I'm Pietragallo, so trust me. I still don't know what the fuck my family was thinking. Hey, we want to start over maybe. Let's fucking... No. Make sure the I is before the E. Let's keep it 11 letters long. We want it to fit in no box in a standardized test. That's what all of our whole fucking line of ancestry going down. They're all going to have to ask the teacher, where do I put more letters? That's what we're going for here.
There's not enough room.
There's not enough room. Now... Yeah, they won't put it on a jersey either. It'll be great for him. No, so this guy, they were smarter probably. And Pappasadopoulos too much. Yeah, fixed it up a little bit. Trimmed it up. Gave it a little circumcision. Just nipped off the tip a bit.
A little off the edges.
Little off the edges. So they said the brothers are known for pushing limits. Tas has already pulled off a triple twist on the edge of a ramp and attempted a quadruple twist at a trade show in the U.S. recently.
How about that?
Okay. According to their Australian tour manager, Scott Kelly, Tas almost made it. The ramps aren't big enough, Kelly said. You need serious elevation to twist 4 times. Yeah. Ben has managed to escape serious injury, but Tas has snapped his femur about 3 years ago and was nursing a broken rib when he won the Triple Crown. Things do occasionally get scary, Tas admits. Once you slam, you do start thinking about how far you can go.
Come down without the board is called a slam?
Just fall, I guess. Once you eat shit. God. Once you can't say eat shit in the paper, probably. So
yeah.
Once you eat shit hard, you start thinking about eating shit a little bit more. If that hurts. Yeah.
You snap your femur, which is the hardest bone in your body to break.
And so fucking easy to hurt yourself on a huge ramp. A huge vert ramp. Dude, you're so far up in the fucking air. If anything goes wrong. You're up, so you fly up to the point where if a huge wind gust comes, it will fuck your shit up. Like your trajectory has to be perfect.
Blow you off course.
Yeah, and you'll land in the middle and snap your femur instead of fucking landing on the side and coming down. So
that makes my fucking leg hurt.
Yeah, it's brutal. So
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
They had huge attitude too. Like these kids are like, yeah, fuck you. They're the punk rock guys.
Yeah.
And so people who are more established, who aren't punk rockish or maybe a little more clean cut, guys like, I don't know, say Tony Hawk, and specifically Tony Hawk, didn't care for that shit at all. Trying to clean up the image, damn it. Look at my hair. You guys are doing drugs and
I've got
God
elbow pads on, you guys.
Jesus, we just got over the whole gator thing, people. Come on. We just got over the gator thing. Mike McGill always looks like he hasn't bathed in 3 days. Can we do something?
I've got wrist guards like a 40-year-old mom trying to rollerblade.
Yeah, look at me, damn it. I'm going to pull this off. So Tony Hawk, not a fan here. Taz says, Hawk and me were friends when we started out. He used to let me ride his ramp, but I guess it didn't quite last very long, the friendship, because they're little fucking punks, and Tony Hawk's a little rich kid who's clean cut, so it's different.
Yeah. And these boys probably said swear words, and Tony's dad didn't like that.
I'm sure he just called him a cunt all the time, and he was like, why do you...
Why do you say the worst word that we use here?
Why do you always call me that?
It's the same as saying beans. I don't know, dude. That's what we do.
Same as bro back there. That's why. It's just bro. So he says, quote, this is Taz again, Danny Way told me at the first X Games in 1995 that Hawk used to crank call his mom. Tony Hawk would crank call Danny Way's mother. I'd become friends with Danny Way's mom, and I saw him, and I'm like, hey, Hawk, what's this shit you used to fucking crank call Danny Way's mom? You're a fucking dick, mate. This is probably years before, too. It's just fucking hilarious.
Tony's 25 now.
Yeah, he's like, what? He says, quote, come outside, you prick. Don't be a fucking pussy. Let's have a crack. I'm going to fight you over a crank call you made when you were 16 to someone who I didn't even know back then when it was happening. That's amazing. He said, fucking crank calling people's mums. And he was like, and shits a brick. That was the first incident that made me and Hawk not be mates. He tried to fight him over something he didn't know if he even remembered. That's fucking awesome. I love it. So he does win this Triple Crown in Las Vegas in 1995. Taz does. Came in third in Slam City Jam Vert competition. Big vertical ramps, I'm sure, here.
Slam City, so they're like advertising that you might see somebody explode today.
Slam City, bitch. Shoes will come off, like the guy in the X Games 15 years ago or whatever. His fucking shoes blew off. It happens, man. You got to tie them shits down tight. To get your Vans on. So The following year here, Taz and Ben started beating Tony on a regular basis here.
Oh.
So that would heat up the rivalry a little bit. At one point, they were number 1 and 2 in the world, Taz and Ben. So he says, I think this is Taz, when it comes to skating and trying to stay number 1, Hawk always has to be the winner. Watch the Bones Brigade doco. He talks about competitions, how cut he gets when he doesn't win. Yeah, Tony Hawk likes to win. 96, I think it's Taz, came in 3rd in the X Games after Andy McDonald and Tony Hawk. So that's what happened there. 1996 World Championships. The final round, the judges have Taz and Tony tied.
Is that right?
Yes, they have a tie for Taz and Tony. So they went for a skate-off.
Yeah. The
sudden death skate-off.
This is a big one. Hell
yeah.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, loser goes into a canyon. Yeah. So Taz wins it even with the broken rib.
Wow.
And this is Tony Hawk wasn't happy about this.
Sure.
Taz says, he came up whinging to me and my brother. All year we've been competing against him and the judges had been giving it to him and we hadn't said shit. So when he came up having a go at me, Ben was like, fuck this. It wasn't quite a full-on fist fight on the podium, but it wasn't far off, and Taz is still obviously annoyed by Tony's attitude. So there you go.
There's some shoving and pissing, yeah.
Yep, he said, look, the reason we went after him was there was that many comps where he just did varials and no new tricks, and they gave it to him. He was just doing variants of his other tricks that he was doing. He'll put a little, kicks his fucking foot out or whatever the fuck. Yeah. So he said, we didn't run up to him saying, and then in a whiny voice, we think we should have won, Tony. We're like, mate, go whinge to the judges. Don't whinge to us. We didn't win the comp. We were in it with you. Or we didn't judge the comp. We were in it with you, you know, like fellow competitors. So he said, this was our beef. We were like, fuck off already. But it was everything leading up to it, into it as well. Like he stole tricks off Danny Way and put the video out first. It was just like anything for him to stay on top and, quote, be the best.
That's some serious accusations.
Yeah. That's Tony Hawk's been accused of that for a long time. Yeah.
Has he really?
Yeah, stealing people's tricks, and he just does. This is the thing about Tony Hawk, and nowadays Tony Hawk's like an elder statesman that he fucking posts shit on social media of him like meeting somebody, and he's a different person now. But like back then in skating, he was like, you know, he was the golden boy, and anybody who was challenging that, he didn't fucking like it. Period. Right. You know, he wasn't a fun guy. He was
Tom Brady.
Yeah, he was exactly.
Yeah.
Technically perfect and pretty fucking boring, and had no personality and no fucking anything. He wasn't a rock star. He was you know, a perfect studio musician. Yeah. That's what he is to me.
Vanilla's a masterpiece of ice cream. It's fantastic.
Everyone likes vanilla. That's the problem.
But nobody just wants that only.
No one's craving it only forever.
Right. Put some fucking chips in it.
And skating, like me growing up as I liked some of the dirtbag guys. I like the guys who had personality. I like the guys who do their tricks a little dirty and different. And I don't know. Tony Hawk never did it for me.
Do something dangerous, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all dangerous. It's just, I don't know.
But when you know it and you've mastered each and every one, it's not dangerous anymore. It's just you displaying the shit that you've mastered, which was dangerous when you started it.
Yes.
10 years ago.
Exactly. So, 1996, Taz is the number 1 ranked vert skateboarder in the world.
Oh.
So there you go. They were really good. And then by the late 90s, Ben is number 2 for a long time. And so that's how they're doing it. So by the late 90s here, 97, 98, they're like number 1 and 2 at what they do in the entire world. And they party, and they tell Tony Hawk to stick it up their ass, and stick it up his ass, and all this time, defending people's crank-called mums. Grace. That's Grace.
Wow.
I think right there, right?
That's a pretty solid life.
It's pretty fucking cool. They're young, indestructible. You can come back from a broken fucking femur and still do crazy vert shit. Imagine if you broke your femur now. Would you do anything that you do currently?
I'll tell you what, if I dropped out of high school at 17 to go do what I really loved and was the best at it within 3 years, I would feel like a hero.
Making fucking money, doing drugs and still being good. Yeah. That's amazing. And Tony Hawk's all clean. You're doing drugs and you're better. Imagine how great that's got to feel.
I'm a detriment to myself, and I'm better than you.
Imagine if I was sober. This is one hand tied behind my back. That's how much better than you I am. I'm fucked up right now.
Imagine if I dedicated my life to it like you do.
Yeah. Imagine if I ate fruit. Imagine what my life... Think about that.
Imagine if there was a vitamin or mineral inside this body.
I live on Jack in the Box and meth, and I'm fucking beating you. That means I'm way better than you.
And when I get Jack in the Box, I say, no tomatoes. I don't want the vitamin.
Keep that lettuce off of my shit. Extra cheese, though.
Cheese, meat, ketchup, sugar. I want it.
Oh, my God. That's fucking amazing. So 97, 98, things start to kind of not be as good as the drugs progress. See, there's a fun level of drugs. There's first starting out with drugs, and that can fuck you up. And then there's fun times of drugs. And we see comedians, rock stars, wrestlers, actors, musicians go through this fun time of drugs when it's almost helping their creativity. It's almost this like a extra fucking... It's an extra person. It's like an extra character in the room to fucking help you write shit. And
it's a performance-enhancing drug at that point.
It works great. And then after a while, though, there's diminishing returns as it becomes more.
You start to get a tolerance?
More and more. So 97, the Vancouver Slam City Jam. Taz came in 10th there. 97, he finished 44th in the World Cup of Skateboarding here. He won the LG competition in Las Vegas, though. Finished 39th in the World Cup of Skateboarding in 98. 12th in the Beaverton, Oregon B3 vert competition.
I'll bet that's a cool one, though.
That's probably awesome. And then 1999, finished 22nd in the Slam City Jam. So it's going kind of bad here.
It's a little rocky.
It's a little bit rocky. They said that, and this is dumb here, 1999, Ben has some troubles here in 1999. He's apparently going back to Australia for a trip, and he wanted to take a little bit of America with him. Or more accurately, a little bit of South America with him, I should say. Well, he is busted with 103 grams of cocaine at the airport.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. An ounce is 28 grams, so do your math there. That's a bunch. It's like a quarter pound.
It's QV. It's QV.
So it's quite a bit.
Too much.
We'll say. Yeah, it's a lot to bring into the airport here.
Did he have it in a quarter pounder from McDonald's?
I think maybe he did. He's like, oh, hey, it's just American. So Taz says, I don't know what he was thinking. We just partied a lot, and it was just a stupid choice. No shit.
Yeah, you don't put that shit on a plane, man.
They were saying how, they were charging him with like smuggling it in to sell it, basically.
Yeah, right.
And Taz says he wasn't trying to sell it. It was only 103 grams, which is nothing. How much coke are you doing when 103 grams is, Jesus, they're acting like that's a lot.
That's personal use. What?
Who doesn't carry around a quarter pound of cocaine with them? That's normal, right?
It's a lot, yeah.
That seems like a lot. He said, but basically our lifestyle had snowballed and we went from one bum choice to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ben ends up with a 12-month suspended jail sentence. So
is that right?
Gets off pretty easy on that because they didn't really have any record before that. So
if
you don't have a record, short of really, really hurting somebody, you can get away with a lot. Like, short of like attempted murder or murder, you can get away with a ton if it's your first offense. That goes a long way.
Right. Your first crime is the worst, then it's a big deal. But if it's like
crime record's like your credit report. Like, it goes a long way that you paid off all that shit. Like, you've built up these people however many years of credit of of not committing crimes. So seems to work a lot here.
I got an arrest score of 806. Is that going to be?
Is that good? Can I get in?
Can I get out with that?
Is that all right? Can I still? Oh, no, you know what? That's just short of being able to leave Australia because he has a 3-year travel ban because of that also. So he can't leave Australia
terrible.
For 3 years. So he's stuck on the island for 3 years here. Yeah, not able to go back to the States to compete. So he's basically fucked because there's no...
That'll certainly limit your ability to be number 1 or number 2 in the world when you only can compete here.
He gets dropped by sponsors at that point, too, because he can't compete. So why are they going to pay him for nothing? And, starts getting real depressed. And Taz says he kept getting told his career was over, and he just gave up, sort of. He didn't think he could make it back to the States, and then he got into smack. Perfect.
What?
So now he's going to get into heroin on top of his
Get out of here.
Already quite large cocaine habit.
Oh, boy.
I would figure if you're smuggling back coke into Australia, maybe the coke's better in America than Australia, too. I'm not sure. Possibly. But either way, if maybe you just don't know where to get it immediately in Australia, so you'd bring enough
to bridge the gap.
Yeah. So you'd figure, okay, I'll be there. He's from there. He's a skateboarder. He has a lot of connections. So it shouldn't take long for him to find some coke, probably a few days. So I'll bring a 1/4 pound of coke with me. Seems excessive, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, just off the top of my head there. So, he's fucked. So he stayed in Australia. He got married in 1999 because when things are going amazing and swimmingly, when your career's over, you've just bridged from coke to heroin, you're stuck on the island like Mad fucking Max, what do?
You got to get a gal.
You got to get married. You got to rope someone else into this and make sure that you're all...
Throw an anchor on this boat.
Let's do it. Come on, baby. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. Let's run with a donut on that fucking back right wheel. So the marriage ends in divorce after 2 years, unsurprisingly.
2 years.
2 years. Not shocking that he's making poor decisions at this point, though. I mean, Christ. So he ends up living basically like just wanders and roams, lives from friend to friend, sleeps on couches.
A walkabout. Yeah.
Yep, just from family member to friend and sleeps over here for a while, stays with him. So he just basically is just a depressed mess who's going through a divorce. His career's over. He's got a fucking, he's using tons of heroin. He's doing all sorts of shit here.
Oh, boy.
He's put in a facility from May to September 2006 for anxiety and depression. So he's got a lot, and drugs
first.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of it here. And Taz too. Taz is a fucking mess too, but he's just not as big of a mess because he actually has to get up and skate and make a living. So he said, "This is Taz. I'd always been like, drugs are just a cup of tea. They weren't anything. Like if I woke up in the morning and someone says there was a crack rock, they're there, I'd be like, sweet, let's smoke it. I didn't give a shit." Sweet, let's smoke it. Hey, Jimmie, there's a crack rock right there. Oh, sweet, let's smoke it. Cool. Sweet. Awesome. You got a lighter or like, let's smoke it.
Ew, throw it away.
Sweet. There's a crack. Who brought that here would be why is there crack here? This is awful. No. He said, so when I'd get on the drugs and I was deliberately trying to block stuff out, I'd be trying to knock myself out, seeing how far I could take it. I just didn't give a shit. I just wanted to go bonkers. Fuck.
Oh, man.
He said, there's a lot of hurt that I just never addressed. I've got a borderline personality disorder. That's what you want to fire up with drugs, too. That'll help.
He's already aware of that, so...
Well, later, he didn't know at the time.
Okay, all right.
Later on, he said, and I never even knew I had a mental illness. So, if you have borderline personality disorder, the last thing you need is massive amounts of cocaine.
Don't do hard drugs.
Do not need hard drugs. Or probably, I don't know, I'm not an expert on borderline, I don't know, but not that I'm an expert on anything when it comes to that shit, but I know borderline's a tough one. That's a tough one to keep managed. So
if you've got that, maybe only take the drugs your doctor recommends.
Let him or her make you a cocktail.
Yeah.
Let your daughter make you a cocktail. Let your doctor make you a cocktail.
Yeah.
And
if you need to, snort them. I don't give a shit.
I don't care. Break it up and snort it. But ask the doctor. Say, listen, I prefer snorting. So can you make me up a formula that's better to be crushed up and snorted, preferably off the back of a public toilet, if that's possible, because that's my preference. Yikes. So that's not good. And his skateboarding career is going in the shitter as his drug intake is going up for Taz. Danny Way's XYZ Platinum skating team here kind of fell apart. And that's in addition, a lot of that is caused by Taz being kind of a dick. Danny Way didn't like him anymore, he said. He said, Danny used to use me to do his dirty work. He didn't really have my back. I don't know what does he mean by that? I don't know what dirty work there is to do in skateboarding.
You got to do.
Loosen somebody's trucks on them so they have a bad run? Like, what are we talking about here? How do you what dirty work is there to do in skateboarding?
Pull the fucking deck tape off of Tony's board.
Replace his bearings with the shit bearings. No, replace the good ones. Yeah, there's ones that are twice the price. Get rid of those. Shit bearings.
Pour some sand in his bearings.
Yeah, just give him those real plain Swiss ones. He won't even know the difference. Yeah, do that. Yeah, fuck those real nice Red Bones Brigade ones that are out now. No, nobody wants those. So he said he just started losing friends in the industry, and, he's kind of a mess here. He almost, going into the 1999 X Games, Taz was working on landing the 900, which we've all kind of seen out there because Tony Hawk made it a big deal.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah.
So Hawk was also, in the X Games here and working on this whole thing. So he said that Taz says, I actually apologized to him the day of the best trick contest. I said, what, I've just realized that Danny used to use me to do his dirty work, and I just wanted to apologize to you for that. Danny should have had a crack at you because of what you did to his mom. That was none of my business. So he went up to Hawk and said, sorry, I tried to fight you over crank calling Danny Way's mom. He was just using me
to it.
To basically, he wanted to see someone tell Tony Hawk to go fuck himself. And he said, if I tell this crazy Australian drug addict kid about this, he'll go try to fight him, and that'll be hilarious.
And it'll be funnier in an Australian accent. So you do it. Yeah.
Let's have a crack. That's way funnier than if I went over there and went, you're a dick, bro. This is just funnier.
Yeah.
So, he said, and Hawk was going, yeah, whatever, bro. I don't care. It's all good. Then I realized what that smile was all about. An hour later, I found I'm all stitched up. I'm not even allowed to enter the best trick contest.
What?
Taz says Tony was like, no problem, and smiling at him. And he said, he says that he kept him out. Taz says that there is every chance that I wouldn't have landed the 900 before Tony, but I like to have been able to try.
Sure.
Because that's when Tony got the 900. Instead, he had to watch, and then Tony... apparently, he said that one of Tony's photographer friends had been shooting Taz's practice attempts at the 900 a few weeks ago. So he said, quote, he's been studying my sequences and gone and done the trick on me, the prick, which is the 900 that he pulls off.
What the fuck?
Which is his big trick. And he's like, I was trying to, he said, I might not have landed it. I might not have pulled it off, but I would have loved to try. And I could have been the guy who did it first, maybe, because I was working on it.
And that X Games was such a big deal because Tony did that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was it was the biggest thing he ever did.
It made a video game. It made everything.
Mainstreamed him. It mainstreamed him. It made him so people who outside of skateboarding knew who he was. It was on. It was on Sports Center. It was a huge fucking deal. So that was a big deal. And he said the subsequent release of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater that made him a huge mainstream star. He's the Michael Jordan of skateboarding. Yep. Mm-hmm. He's old and not doing the same shit, but kids are still buying his stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So Taz says, quote, he's actually blinded by his own bullshit about Tony Hawk.
Attaboy, Taz.
That's fucking great. He's actually blinded by his own bullshit. He's just another skater, but that's not what he thinks. He buys into his own bullshit. Cock. Yeah. Cock, he puts at the end. He said, he's so unforgiving, man. I was like, get over it. My brother and I would punch each other in the face and then be friends immediately. These guys just can't handle being teased.
Yeah.
It's a different, it's just different. Australians, I think, they beat the shit out of each other verbally. Like they love doing it. It's like growing up in New York. It's the same thing. Right. Your friends, it's brutal. To have friends is
40-year-old Australian men are the same as a 17-year-old American man. But they tease, but it's over in a minute too.
Because you're fucking around.
Yeah, and here they don't do that in your 40s.
No, it's mainly because they like you is why they're picking on you. That's how it works. So, so he's having a problem though. Taz says he's kind of blacklisted from a lot of competitions here. So he finished 8th in 1999. He finished 8th in the Vans Hardcore Triple Crown in Milwaukee, 7th in the Radlands in Northampton in the UK. 1999 here. 2nd in the Monster Mastership in Germany.
That's too many M's.
Wow, that's crazy. He comes in 2nd in Prague, 1st in a vert competition in Beaverton, Oregon, the B3 again, so he does better there. 2001, 3rd in the X Games in Philly. Pretty good. In 2003, he gets injured from falling in a vert ramp, which hurts him. But he comes back and he's in 2nd place in an event in UK in Birmingham, and then in Cleveland at the Summer Gravity Games, he's 6th in vert and 5th in the vert best trick.
Well, his brother is couch surfing in Australia as a smack addict.
Couch surfing with a needle hanging out of his vein in Australia. So in 2005, he marries a woman.
Oh?
So, I mean, why not? He's like 30, and he's looking to settle down a little bit. He marries an American woman named Colleen. And he met Colleen through skateboarding, and they live in San Diego. They have 2 children.
Yeah.
And but being a skateboarder is tough financially because unless you're Tony Hawk, it comes and goes. It's spurts.
Yeah,
and,
unless you've got pro skater royalties checks coming in every month.
It's difficult.
Right.
It's difficult. So financial difficulties are tough. So he's kind of banged up. Being 30 and skating hard on vert ramps for that long, your body, it catches up to you fast. So he says that he started using crystal meth you got to have some meth to numb the pain from injuries. You know.
Oh my God!
It feels better now that I'm on meth. Which I mean, a lot of things will feel better for a little while. And
not your teeth for very long.
No, not your teeth or your bones or your face or your skin. But the doctors prescribe him an antidepressant after he tries to get help for depression. But also he would use cocaine and alcohol along with the antidepressant, which completely, nullifies
destroys
the whole
everything.
thing. You're making your own little cocktail. That's not what you have been prescribed here. So, 2006, he won a competition in Dallas. In October of 2006, he won the vert skateboarding event at the LG Action Sports World Championship. Okay. Look at that shit. Oh, boy. During his winning run, he executed a 720, which was cool, and it was called flawless by all the commentators.
But it's not a 900.
It's not a 900, which a flawless 720 is pretty fucking impressive.
It's impressive, yeah.
I mean, watch somebody do it. It's awesome here. He completed his run without making any errors. 2006, he came in first place in the LG Action World Tour competition in Amsterdam. Christ, maybe meth is good for this guy.
He's doing great.
He's doing phenomenally. In Birmingham, England, 2006, came in third place at the LG Action Sports World Tour there. The LG Action Sports World Tour in Dallas, he comes in first place, and then in second place in Richmond. So,
wow.
I mean, seems like couldn't be going better for him. Let's get this guy some meth. He's got a competition tomorrow. All right. But he's struggling, though, the way he says it. He says that drug use led to a bit of paranoia in him, which meth will do, mainly about his wife being involved in affairs. Starts being very paranoid about that. So during that, he at some point here, he physically assaults his wife during an argument.
Oh, boy.
Caused by him being paranoid that she's having an affair because he's on meth. So it's not good here. He said that this is what he said years later. He said, quote, "I was paranoid that she was on with someone. I don't agree with what I did, but I ended up hitting her and losing the plot and went to jail."
Yep.
So, yeah, he ends up being put in jail for 2 months and then deported.
Oh.
Well, that's because he got out of jail, and he was in a drug-related car crash during his
probation,
his parole period. Yeah. So then they just said, "Okay, you're deported here." So he was waiting to be flown to Australia. He got a telephone call from his father at that point here. And it's because things have been going bad for Ben. Okay, March of 2005. Ben began dating a woman named Lynette Phillips, who was a recovering drug addict who was studying to be a drug counselor at Swinburne University.
Oh, that's great.
As most drug counselors are ex-drug addicts.
Yeah.
It's kind of you kind of want that in them.
The best person to help you through this is somebody that has experience. They know it.
Yeah. They felt it before. So these two move in together, Ben and Lynette. But it's tumultuous and a mess, and there's physical abuse. There's physical abuse and all that kind of shit. They broke up a whole bunch of times here, because as people with crazy lives do.
Sure.
As people with regular lives break up and get back together. Never mind people who are on a shitload of drugs on and off and everything else. That's really going to
value drugs more than this person.
Whew, man. Because think about it. The 3 years has been up for 3 years now. So
yeah, he could be done.
He could have been skating hard those 3 years, keeping himself up and been back on the scene and been with his brother at all these competitions for the last few years. But instead, he just sat there and let himself go to shit. And it's really sad. So in February 2006, Lynette Phillips was granted an interim intervention order against Ben. Apparently, it's like a temporary restraining order, I believe, Australian style. After he physically assaulted her and damaged her property. Then, the following month, though, she requests that they rescind that because they're getting back together. So,
okay,
yeah, it's a lot. So, Taz will say later on, quote, "I hate this part of the story, to be honest. He just couldn't beat heroin. He was on methadone, and the doctor put him on Xanax, and then he was on 4 or 5 different antidepressants, which shouldn't be mixed."
Yeah, you can't. What?
Jesus, what the fuck kind of cocktail was in his body? I don't know if he was going to different doctors for different...
Yeah, it's got to be, because doctors aren't going to do that, right?
I don't think they're going to go, here's your methadone, here's some Xanax, and here's fucking...
Throw some Zoloft on top of
Zoloft,
that.
Lexapro,
right.
Paxil. Let's get it all going. Let's get a cocktail and see which one... Let's let them all fight it out and see which one comes out on top. Which one's side effects will come to the surface? Let's find out.
Smash Brothers inside your body with fucking antidepressants.
Balls. That's insane. Who would think to do
nuts.
that?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, he said, quote, "Then one day he called me and he said, quote, Taz, I'm so ashamed. I was just kind of making light of the situation. I said, what, you got caught rooting a man? He said, worse.
What worse?
Rooting.
That's fucking a man.
I know. It sounds, even if you didn't know, you know now. Rooting?
Yeah. Oh, you knew.
It sounds like you're rooting. Yeah. Putting your roots down or in.
Putting your root in there. Yeah. Big solid root.
I see some dirt being moved aside, and I don't like it. Rooting a man. And he said worse.
And that means something to them.
So I said, you got caught getting rooted by a man? Way to keep it up, Taz. Well done. That's how we should all speak to our brothers, by the way. That's
for sure.
how it goes, yeah. And he laughed. But he said, I wish it was that. Jesus. He said after a year together, Ben just discovered that Lynette had been actually doing heroin, who was supposed to be the drug counselor, and working as a prostitute.
Oh, God.
To pay for it when she said she was doing other things.
The betrayal.
So, yeah, you've been talking to other people, messing around with other people, just went into a whole other category when it comes to people have been paying you for blowjobs is a different thing.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel. Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
And his life is already like tumultuous, and inside his head is a nightmare.
Oh,
and now he's got this on top of it. She's doing drugs. She lied to me, said she was a counselor, and to pay for it, she's being rooted by men.
And you're being told that you're paranoid.
Yeah.
Not only then you find out that you're not paranoid, but it's well beyond what you were even paranoid about.
You thought it was a relationship with a
Yeah.
man. No, it's not.
Yeah, you thought it was a raccoon going through your garbage can. Turns out it's people from Mars, and they're fucking...
And they're not
setting
going
up
to
a
the trash
base.
can. They're fucking your very willing girlfriend.
And your dog at the same time, who's not willing. So it's a very big difference. So Taz says he was going out with her for a year, fully in love, and then he finds out she's a prostitute. It's an age-old tale. Who hasn't had that happen? Come on, guys. Listen.
That doesn't happen at all.
Crime and sports movement here. Everyone listening right now. How many times you've been going out with all the men out there anyway? You've been going out with a chick or lesbians. You're going out with a chick and you're in love after a year.
Yeah.
Yes, she's half the time she's a prostitute, right? Unbeknownst to you, that's half the time, I figure. That's how most of my relationships have ended. Time after time. Most of my relationships ended that way. I'm like, damn it. Heroin addict prostitute again. Fuck. Thought she worked at a law firm. Shit. Son of a bitch. It can happen.
Holy.
It can happen. I mean, I'm telling you. It happens.
What did Ben
do?
do? What do you do?
Well, Taz said he was a shattered man, absolutely gutted. Everywhere they went from that time on, every bloke she talked to, he was like, "You suck his dick today?"
Oh, God.
Which, I mean...
They stayed together?
How do you... Yeah. I mean, that's...
What?
That's... Wow. That is... I don't even know what to say about that.
How do you continue that?
Yeah, well, you better not do that more. Like, how...
You apologize and atone? How?
Oh, my God. So Ben tells his doctors that he's been having suicidal and homicidal thoughts at this point.
Oh, boy.
Can't be from the mix of 5 prescriptions and fucking 3-4 street drugs that he's on at the same time, and that can't fuck your brain up at all, right? That's a...
Well, while being treated by... So, oh, my God. How do you... I cannot imagine that life.
How do you
while
you're
not
finding
be
out your
both
wife's...
of those feelings? Yeah.
All of it at once. I don't know how you just don't go, fuck it. Are there sharks off the coast of Australia? Because I'm going to feed myself to them.
So many, yeah.
I can't take it anymore. He said that, quote, this is Taz, he even called the bloody nut team on himself a few times. So he called like a mental health people to come get him. They said, nah, you're all right. You're all right. Then bang, it all happened.
Oh, my God.
It all happened, okay? So this is what happened. February, that's not good in this story. When you hear it all happened, you're like, oh, no. What could be going worse now? Jesus Christ.
The mental health response team told him he was okay.
You're all right, mate.
Don't worry about it, mate. You'll be all right.
You'll be all right. It's all right. No problem. They just told him to relax a little bit. Come on. There you go, mate. Come on. They didn't give a fuck. So he said February 24th, 2007, Lynette disappears.
Oh?
She disappears. Okay. So on March 2nd, Lynette's body is found.
Oh.
Wrapped in a blue quilt dumped in the Yarra River in Melbourne.
In water.
In water, wrapped in a quilt, dumped. So, I mean, this is not an accident. Nobody wraps themselves in a quilt to drown themselves.
That is a murder.
Yeah, the coroner's report found she'd been battered to death with a blunt instrument. So it is, blunt force trauma.
Very personal.
It's awful. And Ben's dumbbells have been used to weigh her down.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
No.
This isn't good. So the autopsy also determines that she'd been strangled as well as beaten about the head and face. So Ben becomes the sole suspect, as he's the last person to be seen with her before her body was discovered, and the quilt and dumbbells were both his from his house.
Your personal items are with the body.
So it's not good. We'll put it that way. Police put out like an APB, an Australian APB, I guess, whatever that would be. All koala bulletin, an AKB. Any koalas or emus catch sight of this guy, let us know. I don't know what that is.
All wallabies pulling.
All wallaby action. So they do that. Taz says, quote, he tried to get himself committed. He called me up saying, look, I think I'm going to do something nutty. And I said, yeah, everyone does, but you don't do it. Like, everyone thinks they're going to do something nutty, but you don't do it. Right. He said, I told him, everyone has thoughts about hurting people if they piss you off, but a thought's a thought. I didn't realize how hard the drugs and everything were getting him.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah.
You have any idea how many times I've wanted to open Tony Hawk?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I almost killed Tony Hawk with a skate key the other day. Literally,
but
almost just gouged the wrench part right into his fucking temple and just dug in until I pulled out a chunk of his fucking brain. I was going to do it, and then I said, no, that's crazy, mate. So I was going to, though.
Yeah, I was going to pull his left eyeball out the side of his head. Instead,
no shit.
I just walked away. Weird.
I just said, you know what? Never mind. You're a cunt, mate. That's what I told him, and I walked away.
Called him a cock and walked on.
See if he wanted to have a crack. He said no. He said, all right, fine. So on March 3rd, while they're looking for him, Pappas admits himself, Ben does, to the emergency room at the Alfred Hospital, where he told the staff he was experiencing suicidal thoughts. So after a few hours, he told the staff that he felt better now. I'm good now, and they released him.
Really?
Yeah, all right.
He had second thoughts about turning himself in?
I don't know what he wasn't turning himself in. He just went to the hospital.
I mean, committing himself. He had second thoughts.
He said he felt better.
I'll do all right. Yeah,
I get. Or then he ends up returning to a friend's house, which the guy he's been staying with, and the following day, the friend who he was staying with told him about the discovery of Lynette's body.
Yeah.
So according to the friend, Pappas told him that I already knew that she died. Somebody already told me about it. Through a friend. So they then had a conversation which Ben said he could not remember what happened the day of Philip's death. He's like, I don't know what happened that day. Only recalled waking up on a bench, not walking, waking up on a bench and then taking a large quantity of Xanax. And then he doesn't know what happened the rest of the day.
That's the only memory you have of one day.
Imagine your memory of a day is waking up on a bench and then going, wow, my life's so great, I think I'll take a shitload of Xanax because this bench can't get any better than this.
What'd you do yesterday? I woke up on a bench and took a bunch of Xanax. What else? I don't know.
But then my
24-hour period. You remember 11 seconds?
My girlfriend was in a river after that, so I remember about 30 seconds of that day.
I got an 11-second window of 24 hours.
Holy shit, man. That is fucking wild. So him and Phillips had broken up during this period of when this all happened. So later that evening, after he tells his friend that he doesn't remember what happened after the bench and the Xanax, he leaves his friend's home, and his friend never hears from him again. He just takes off.
Yeah.
No one hears from him for 6 days. He's just completely in the wind.
Yeah.
And then on March 10th, his body is found floating under the pier of the Victoria Dock.
Holy.
Floating just in the water.
Oh, my.
Yep. That's pretty fucking crazy. Now, Taz is waiting for the plane to go to Australia or to be taken out of America, and that's when he gets a phone call from his father, and he learned that his brother was found dead. And he said, it's the saddest thing I've ever heard, is what Taz said.
Yeah.
He said, the coroner returns a verdict of suicide.
Okay.
Taz says he gave himself the death penalty.
How'd he do it?
He drowned himself.
Really?
Which is pretty fucking horrible. Yeah, the coroner's inquest determined that Pappas killed Lynette Phillips and had drowned himself after the body was found. A psychologist who treated Ben before his death said that he had shown signs of suicidal ideation, homicidal tendencies, and psychotic-related symptoms such as paranoia, anger, and frustration. So we sent him home, obviously.
Yeah. We don't want to be around that.
Yeah, he said he felt better that one day, and we were like, good, Jesus Christ, he's been a lot of work. He's just like a lot, you know what I mean? It's just a lot. It would be nice to get him out of here. So the coroner finds that he, like I said, murdered his girlfriend, took his own life. Jesus Christ here. She Wow. They talk about her. They said they put it all together with his stuff and her body, and it's an obvious thing. They said that Pappas, the state coroner judge, I guess there's a state coroner judge here. She said that she accepts the homicide squad's conclusion that Pappas did all of this because that clears the cases off the
Does that mean he probably jumped off the bridge, and the landing knocked him unconscious, and then he drowned?
I'm going to say, in my guess, he probably took a bunch of drugs and then jumped off.
Probably, right? Because you can't just like walk into the water and hold yourself underwater.
No, but if you took a whole bunch of drugs and passed out, that
Yeah.
would be how you do it, I would think. That would be the only way I could think. Otherwise, you got to want it bad.
Yeah.
You got to want it bad to just be like, I will not fucking rise to the top. That's got to be.
You really got to inhale a lot.
Yeah. That's got to, that's a tough way to go. So, they said there'd been all sorts of shit between them. Obviously, them fighting and all that. And then the Pappas telling people he couldn't remember what he'd been doing for the previous 10 days. And Jesus Christ, that's wild. The judge said, whilst I accept the opinions of the investigating police with respect to Ben's involvement in Lynette's death, I do not conclude that the only reason that Ben took his own life was to avoid the consequences of his involvement in Lynette's death and placing her body in the river. He may also have been experiencing deep remorse, grief, and trauma as a result of his actions, which may explain the last notes he makes on the ground near where her body was found.
He scratched it into the dirt?
Where his body was found. Scratched on the dock near where his body was found.
Wow.
Were letters that looked like Love High LL, LUVHILL, and Mum and Nan written on there. And they were very fresh, so they thought he did it. He's got a brother here, another brother, a half-brother named Coco Nkrumah, and he said that he believed that this is all based on fucking being a drug addict since he was a kid. He said he started when he was a teenager. He was earning $15,000 a month and all that kind of shit. And they also said that when he wrote that, he was trying to say hi to Lynette because he had heard him call her Little L. So LL, Love High LL. That's what he called her. So and Mom and Nan. But Taz can go fuck himself apparently. So the judge said, in particular, the issue of what obligations or ethical issues are raised for a healthcare practitioner when concerns are raised for the safety of another in the course of treating a patient and how to respond to those obligations and issues poses some intensely difficult issues for a health professional. Yeah, what do you do with when a guy comes in and goes, I don't know, I'm thinking I'm homicidal, I'm suicidal and all that, and then they go, well, I feel better now. What do? Hold him forever? How long do you hold him for? Like, I mean, I don't know what that is.
It's clear that somebody that says all that and then says I'm okay. Clearly, they're not okay. But you can't if they say they're okay and they've done this under their own will. You can't stop them
unless it's actions. Mental health is self-reporting. So if someone comes in and says I'm suicidal and homicidal, and then an hour later they say, "Oh no, I feel great now. I don't want to hurt anybody or myself."
That was post hurting somebody, right?
That was, he went in after.
He had already did that.
Yeah, well, he had gone in a few times before that, but this last time, it was after he had already killed his girlfriend.
Right.
So it's wild. It's very interesting here.
I mean, they've got to be thankful that after they discharged him, he didn't go hurt anybody except himself. You know.
Yeah, he didn't go go on a rampage or anything, but still, he went and offed himself.
Yeah.
That's not great. That's not good for your track record. Yeah.
It's taking an L for sure.
It's definitely taking an L. You looked at him and you went, he should be okay. And then he's floating in a pier. That's not good.
Yeah. When your job is to save lives and you've not saved that one, you've definitely lost.
You've definitely lost. So he was seen on 4 occasions by a psychologist named Anita Bonolo between May 26th and September 28th, 2006, where she provided him with counseling for anxiety and depression. She was aware of his relationship with Lynette Phillips and that there was an intervention order against him. She had also seen Lynette Phillips on one occasion in connection to her drug use. She told, Lynette told this Bonolo psychiatrist or psychologist about the family violence perpetrated against her by Ben. On the last session that Bonolo saw Ben Pappas, she described him as very depressed, psychotic, and his mood was very negative. Quote, in my opinion, he showed signs of suicidal ideation, homicidal tendencies, and psychotic-related symptoms such as paranoia, anger, and frustration. So what the fuck? She told the judge, this Bonolo told the judge that she held some concerns for Miss Phillips' safety, but they were balanced by the fact that Pappas was not living with her.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was going home to the house, and that he was receiving ongoing medical treatment from his medical practitioner, and that there was a family violence intervention order in place.
Sure.
It's like, I know he wanted to kill her, but I figured it would have been very inconvenient for him to do so. So
there's a lot of paperwork involved.
You know how that goes. The judge says, given the state of knowledge in the literature about the potentially lethal danger caused by a violent person to their intimate partner, in circumstances where that intimate partner is being treated by the same health practitioner, the safety of the patient at risk of injury or death must come first, above privacy.
Right.
You got to tell them, hey, this person, might be coming to
Somebody's
kill you.
in
So,
danger. Right.
Yeah, you could be in danger. Yeah, they went on to say the tragic set of circumstances should be used to highlight the need for the healthcare profession generally to ensure that A, a false sense of being able to control the situation is not being relied on, and B, appropriate on-call assistance is provided to support, guide, and advise healthcare professionals who find themselves in similar circumstances.
Sure.
So during this, the judge criticized Ben's general practitioner, Dr. Michael Kosminski, who had been treating both of Phillips and Pappas. So an entry in Pappas's medical records made by this Dr. Kosminski on September 29th noted, quote, case conference discussion, psychotic, depressive, suicide risk with question marks around it, suicide
Maybe.
risk and murder risk with question marks around it.
Oh, my God.
Homicidal, suicidal. See you next week.
We'll discuss it then.
Can we?
We're out of time.
Well, I don't understand that at all. The judge said that Lynette was, quote, undoubtedly a significant risk when Dr. Kosminski documented those concerns. She said this doctor had seemed somewhat in awe of Ben's sporting prowess.
We talked about the X Games
he's a big
more
shot.
than murder. Oh, my God.
He's a big shot, and this appeared to have clouded his judgment, which happens. He found a silver-haired middle-aged white man as doctor. This happens all the time in athletes. They're blinded by this shit, and they don't see, wow, and it fucks the guys up. They said it appeared to have clouded his judgment, possibly to the detriment of the duty he also owed Lynette to take control of this unacceptable situation. Wow. With respect to Lynette and Ben, it appears that Dr. Kosminski may have overestimated his capacity to safely control this situation. I'm not persuaded by that Dr. Kosminski, despite his self-belief, was fully equipped to handle such a complex situation.
Yeah.
Wow. The judge recommended the Secretary to the Department of Health conduct a feasibility study on establishing a specialist family violence on-call service for general practitioners and other healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
Wow, this could change laws and shit.
And anybody that's a health professional or a mental health professional should hate the sport of the person that they're treating. Like, I don't want a Cowboys fan working on Ezekiel Elliott. You know what I mean?
No. Hey, buddy, let's take a look at that trick knee.
I don't want to hear them talk about the playoffs together. Fuck that.
Boy, I remember that.
Happening.
Those 2013 playoffs, boy, you really took them on your shoulders. So they said this service's function would be to provide specialist family violence information and advice, including guidance on risk and vulnerability indicators, safety planning, and referral pathways to local services. Jesus. Yeah. Lynette's mother, Cheryl Dyson, said she hoped the coroner's findings would help to stop future family violence deaths so that other families did not have to go through the irretrievable tragedy of what happened to her daughter.
Yeah.
This is a mess. They got to feel awful, these people, too,
Truly.
because their daughter was on drugs, and then she was going to school to be a counselor, so they probably thought that was good. Then she's got this scumbag boyfriend who you don't have to look very far to see his problems.
Right. They're right there. They're all over his face.
Restraining orders and this and that, and then the inevitable of what you're telling your daughter is going to happen the whole time happens, of he kills her.
Oh, God.
And it's fucking horrible. So you have to feel terrible for her and her family. That's fucking awful. I really do. I feel for them. But not as bad as I feel.
What?
For Tas Pappas,
yeah,
business banker and in digital acquisitions in Victoria, Australia.
Is that right?
This poor bastard. Yeah, it's not the same guy, though, at all.
No?
This is a guy who went to the Holmes Glen Institute and more than 25 years experience in sales and operations. He says he can increase your sales and profits. He has a strong focus on people development, and he's a financial auditor for KFC and overlooked 42 stores, metro and country. So he knows if you're
Fried Chicken or some Australian shit.
I think it's KFC. No, KFC's huge in England, so I think it's right? I think it's actually KFC. So he knows if you do chicken right or not.
He'll count the herbs and spices.
He will
the right numbers in there.
He will count them. That's what he does. He's an urban spice auditor. That's what he does. Financial and urban spice auditor. That's pretty good stuff. Ben Pappas here, who is in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area.
Oh,
I help people make breakthroughs and win in life. Ferocious optimist, executive performance and success strategist, TED Talk speaker. Basically all the things Ben wasn't. Ferocious optimist. Nope. Drug addict pessimist. Executive performance and success strategist. I give up. Fuck it. Not quite the same thing here. And this guy went to the U.S. Naval Academy as well. Ben Pappas, student at the University of Michigan in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan as well. Yeah. He goes there. Ben Pappas, inventory technician at TerraSend in New York City metropolitan area. He went to Florida Gulf Coast University. A lot of Ben Pappases.
I can't believe it.
A lot of Greek guys named Pappas running around out there.
So
that is interesting here. So there's that. Okay, now more drugs and shit here coming up. Okay,
for Taz.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's going to be sad after this. What do you think he's going to do? Fucking drown his sorrows in apple juice? He's going to
use that as motivation to beat Tony.
Yeah, no. So Taz says he still doesn't think of his younger brother as a murderer. He said, this is crazy. Quote, murderers don't kill themselves. They can kill and not give a shit. Ben gave a shit.
No, Taz.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's
what are you talking about?
No.
They do it all the time.
Yeah, that happens all the fucking time. They're not a murderer. That school shooter who killed fucking 14 children, he wasn't a murderer. He put the gun under his chin afterwards. He felt bad.
Both those kids from Columbine are sweethearts.
Oh, those poor kids.
What are we talking about?
They gave a shit. That was the problem. They cared too much. The problem was they cared too much, Jimmy. That was it. They cared so much.
Shit.
That only their brains painting a fucking mural on the wall would fucking satisfy their guilt.
They needed their brains painted all over the library books to really drive this one home. You idiot!
Wow, Ben.
And I get it. There's no timetable on grief. Everybody grieves differently, but that's the wrong.
There's timetable on logic, though. There's timetable on reality. Grief is one thing. You can go, Jesus, I'm really sad my brother's a murderer, and I still feel bad about that, and I will forever. But to go, you know what? I don't think he's really a murderer, if I'm thinking about it, really. Yes, he beat and strangled a woman and fucking wrapped her in a quilt, put his weights in, and threw her in a river. I get that. But he felt bad afterwards. He felt kind of bad.
He said hi to her.
He said hi. Love you. Carved it into the dock. That's forever. That dock will always be there. Wow,
that dock's
Taz.
not going to heal. Those trees
Holy
are dead.
shit.
It's there forever.
Out of everything that's been said and done in this whole episode, that's the highest thing anyone's ever said or done in this episode.
Truly.
You have to be the most high to say that.
How stoned was he when he said that?
Wow. Then he goes on to say, Lynette's sister's true. You know what? This is, I think, this is a in their own words situation here. Whenever something real dumb comes up, the only thing that can solve it is in their own words. In their own words, quote, Lynette's sister is trying to paint a picture that Ben's just an animal and he bashed her all the time, like he was abusive the entire relationship. I don't agree with violence against women. I think it's shit. I've made that mistake myself and I'm ashamed on myself. But the facts are they were two junkies who were in love. It was a Sid and Nancy situation. She was a working girl. She lied to Ben about it and it did his head in and he was completely wired up on drugs and stuff. And when you're on drugs, anything is possible.
Especially this fucking sentence I just said.
Whoa.
Holy.
By the way, that is, That's like a Disney quote, like when you wish upon a star. When you're on drugs, anything is possible.
When you're on drugs, anything is possible.
Your girlfriend in a river, you under a pier.
I don't condone violence on women. I do it, but I don't condone
I've done it. But I'm not thrilled about it. Don't get me wrong.
I felt bad every time they bled.
I think it's shit. I think it's shit.
What the fuck are you saying, Tas?
Then he goes into, they were two junkies who were in love. It was Sid and Nancy. She's a working girl. She lied to Ben. It's just your typical boy meets girl, girl meets boy, boy falls in love with girl, girl sucks dicks for $20 a pop, boy and girl shoot heroin together, boy beats girl to death, strangles her, wraps her in a quilt, puts his weights down, throws her in a river, boy kills himself in her pier. It's an age-old story. We've all heard it 100 times.
You read that book. It happens
It's hacky
every
by
day.
now. It's hacky by now. It's just hacky. We've all heard it.
The fuck is happening?
What is he talking about?
Where does he live that this is just
Holy
commonplace?
shit. Australia, apparently, and Tampa. Tampa, I get it. Everything I just described in Tampa actually is very common. That actually is
roosters,
Tampa.
Same shit.
Add roosters and blonde women with bruises all over them for some unknown reason. And you have Tampa. He just described it. But otherwise,
holy shit, Tas.
outside of Australia and Tampa, I don't think this is okay.
You need a vacation, Tas.
Holy, she was a working girl. She lied to Ben about it. He murdered her. What are you talking about?
He just justified everything that happened with that insane diatribe.
He should have saved all those. Yeah, he did. He should have saved all those words and just said, when you're on drugs, anything is possible, and moved on.
There it is.
We could have filled all that shit in the blanks in a less horrible way.
Instead, he fucking incriminated himself on about violence on women.
I mean, I do it too. I mean, he did get arrested for it, so in the U.S., so that makes sense. So apparently, his father has devastated his father, just gutted him, this whole thing. So Tas says, the whole time my dad was torn. Ben had my whole family over there in Australia, aunties, uncles, the Greek family, which was solid. I had no one in the States, and I was trying to raise my kids, but I was stuffing up on drugs. Stuffing up. He said, I got locked up a few times, which, goddamn it, I wish I could find those few times. Yeah, we can't find them, though. I got locked up a few times, and my dad was thinking, what do I do? Go back to Australia or stay? He was torn. At the time, Tas wanted his dad's support, though. He said, I was a drug addict, you know. I couldn't do it on my own. I'm locked up every other month. My wife's threatening to leave me. What am I going to do? How am I going to raise these 3 kids? Who's going to bail me out of jail? Yeah. The problem was, by then, he wasn't really famous to the mainstream, so the press didn't cover it when he got arrested, so we can't find shit. So it's really annoying. It sucks. So, yeah, he's got 3 kids, by the way. He added another one to this mix.
And probably it's all drug-related criminal activity.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Fucking, it's a mess, man. So he said the U.S. Justice Department deported him, and his wife got custody of the kids and cut off all contact with him. So
they
for
sent
years,
him to Australia too?
Yeah, they deported him for domestic violence and shit.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah.
Now he didn't talk to his kids for years because they just cut off contact. After he went back to Australia in 2007, he begins drinking heavily because what else do you do? Then his dad had a heart attack and died as well. So
oh no,
he's having problems. And Tas blames himself for his dad's death.
Is that right?
He said, quote, I stressed him to death. I feel like a real piece of shit.
Okay, well.
That's sad, though. That's
both his boys really had some trouble, so.
There was a lot going on there, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Did you murder your girlfriend and then jump off a bridge?
That probably stressed him out way more than you drinking
and
being a little sad. So he said, this is my biggest regret. I blackmailed my dad not to leave me because I had no one, and I just feel like, fuck, if I had just gone home with dad and got straight then, I would have been able to go back to the States instead of leaving it in the mess it was, and my brother would have been alive. Yeah, I fucked up. So
wow.
He's saying I should have just went back home with my dad at the time when I should have, and I could have saved Ben. I could have, got clean, come back to the States, and everything would have been fine. No.
Oh, boy.
You couldn't save Ben.
And he's jumping to some conclusions here, too. Boy, oh boy.
If Ben and all of his doctors and psychologists and everybody else trying to help and all this shit couldn't help, I don't think you were going to get in the middle of a relationship between him and his, a Sid and Nancy relationship, if you want to put it that way. So he said, me and my brother didn't stand a chance. I had mental health issues. I am diagnosed with a borderline personality disorder. I can trip out really easily. Now I'm on a low dose of antipsychotic and antidepressants. I didn't know what was going on, and that led me to mask it all with drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So then, okay. By 2008, he's got a huge drug debt in Australia that he owes, that he's trying to pay off.
Boy.
So, in an attempt to do so, he flies to Australia in an attempt to buy a shitload of cocaine and smuggle it back into Australia to pay off his debt.
Uh-huh.
This sounds like a great idea, right?
Yeah.
This is going to go well, I'm sure.
I'm in debt with drugs. I'm going to solve that by taking an enormous chance.
Split those aces, bitch. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Double down.
Everything I own, split them.
What the fuck is going on? But he is busted at the Sydney airport.
Of course he is.
Due to traces of cocaine on his clothing. I guess they sniffed him out or something. He tried to smuggle the drugs in 3 skateboard decks, but he was all fucked up. He was on benzodiazepines, alcohol, and meth, too, at the same time. So he was all fucked up trying to smuggle a bunch of coke into the country, and it didn't quite work. So he is going to be sent to prison for this here. You, sir.
How much? How much was it?
Fuck off. He serves time for 3 years in different facilities here. His brother got Ugats, and he gets 3 years.
How much did he try to get, though? Because he brought in 3 skate decks. It's got to be more. Yeah.
More than just a quarter pound. So, more than personal use.
Right. This is traffic.
Wow. He gets a day release in November of 2011 for the weekends. And he uses the time to skate the vert ramp in New South Wales. And then in December 2011, Slam Skateboarding magazine ran a feature on Pappas after internet blogs had reported seeing him skating in this place here. They also suggested in the article that Pappas was still one of the most highly skilled skateboarders in Australia at that time.
Sure.
And there's a video of it. It was published by Slam to coincide with an article that said that it was only Pappas's 3rd skate in 3 years due to his incarceration.
Yeah.
So at that point, Taz, let's see, things are going bad. That he gets married, has kids. He's broken it. He's gone home. He's broken. Well, he was forced to go home. That's a forced rule. He didn't want to break that rule, but he had to.
When immigration forces you to do it. Yeah.
When a country's government forces you to break a rule, I think it's worse at that point, right?
Maybe so. Yeah, when ICE says you're breaking a rule today.
Yeah, that's different. So what is another rule that you might break if you're in this situation? You're going to find the Lord, damn it, and everything's going to be fine, and you can sweep everything right under the rug like that. So he said that he did some prison time, and when he was in prison, that's when he converted to Christianity, and he met his new wife and started a new family, and he's clean, and everything's wonderful and like a shiny Australian sunset. It's all good. He said, look, I was the last person who wanted to believe. I loved shooting up speed and staying up for 3 days watching porn. You know what I mean?
Watching porn?
You know what I mean, Jimmy? When you're shooting speed for 3 days watching porn? That's relatable, right? We all do that. Who amongst us has not shot up speed for 3 days?
God.
Coke. This is meth. Speed is not Coke.
Yeah. Right.
3-day speed
Meth
binge
talk.
with just porn. How raw would your dick be?
Oh, God, bright red.
Bright red, skin fucking missing from it.
Why is only your dick sunburned?
Man, that looks terrible. Holy shit. He said, if you want me to believe in God, you're going to have to make me not want to do that anymore. So God had to compete with 3-day masturbatory meth binges. That's a lot to compete with.
He is so much fun to talk to.
Oh, he's great. He's a fucking party of a quote, this guy. This is amazing. I love Australians just if there's quotes. They're just the best quotes ever, always.
Tell me Jesus is better than that, and I'll do it.
I'll do it. Does it feel better than listen, I've been beating my cock silly, then jamming heroin and speed into it. Is it better than that? He said, but slowly but surely changes happened, and that happened in prison, of course. He said, I thank God that he was merciful after all the shit I did. I told God where to go. I was trying to make deals with the devil, but he still got me home through all the chaos. Okay. So he said, I told God to fuck off, but he was like, nope, I got you here. So he started skateboarding again and picked up a few sponsors and all that kind of shit. He did land a 900.
Oh.
Finally, got to do that. So worked that out. He said, I'm loving skating at the moment. Whether or not I'll be welcome at the X Games ever again, well, that's another story. But I'll be skating my arse off no matter what.
Okay.
So he's doing it. He said that he can appreciate the simple pleasures now. That his life was so crazy. Now it's calm and cool. Yeah. He's like Bubbles sitting on that bench when he's sober.
Yeah.
And the kids are blowing bubbles, and he's like, the birds are chirping, and he's like hearing it, looking around like, oh shit, I didn't notice people did this shit before.
Look at this.
Look at this. Wow. Shit. It's nice out. Trees are cool.
The simple pleasures, not the difficult ones like meth binges and 3-day tugs.
3-day porn tugs. Man, that's an awful. You'd get so how much porn do you have for 3 days worth, too?
He finished Pornhub. He finished it.
Yeah, he's like, well, that's all of it. That's everything. Fucking, I don't even know.
Days.
So he's, he said he's learned to live with it. And, he said that he's doing better. And he says, they said, your life going to be okay. And he says, yeah, it's hard, bro. That's his big thing here. So the documentary on them was in 2012, I believe. It was All This Mayhem, it's called.
Okay.
It was on Netflix for a while. I don't think it's on there now, but it was on for a long time here. So in May of 2012, Taz attended the Melbourne premiere of Danny Way's documentary, Waiting for Lightning, where he was photographed with Way and fellow Australian skateboarders and shit like that. Taz says he was in the process of producing his own documentary at the time that focused on him and his brother's careers. So a filmmaker approached him about making the documentary.
Sure.
But they said no because Pappas wouldn't be included in the filmmaking process. So they ended up, the family approved a documentary that was made by Screen Australia, directed by Eddie Martin and James Gay Reese and George Pank, I guess. And they made Exit Through the Gift Shop and a couple other ones too. So they're popular documentaries. They know how to do their shit here.
What is that one? Exit Through the Gift Shop? I've seen that, right?
Probably not. It's not what it sounds like, put it that way. Right. Yeah. Right. It's like an artsy thing. I don't think you would.
Maybe I've just heard Exit Through the Gift Shop so many times I think I've seen it.
Yes, and it was on streaming for years. It was like a prominently pushed all the time as a popular documentary. If you looked at documentaries, it would have been in the first 30 there for years. Right. So this documentary begins production in 2010, and they got all sorts of footage of the brothers and everything like that. Tony Hawk declined to be interviewed for the film, of course.
Really?
Of course, absolutely. So
not enough money?
No, just didn't want to do it. So the world premiere was in the Adelaide Film Festival, October 2013, and it was a big deal. It's a popular documentary, and they explained the documentary by saying it's a story about two brothers that just happen to be in the world of skateboarding. People can get so easily put off, and I think that skateboarding element will be our biggest challenge. We didn't want to use a skate image as our promo because obviously for us this isn't a story about skateboarding. And he said this film is to be distributed by Hopscotch in Australia. We're hoping the film will play at some festivals before a national Australian release. To get it overseas would be the main goal. So there you go. It has a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb.
That's nice.
Not bad. They also describe the Pappas story as a Greek tragedy, literally.
Yeah.
So as of May 2014, Taz was in the inner northeastern Melbourne area here, the suburb of Clifton Hill. He shares a home with his new lady, Helen Norman, and they have a 5-year-old son named Billy. Okay. He works as a window cleaner.
Oh, God.
Does window cleaning and attends a Christian church and all that shit now. So he's a window cleaning church man now.
Wow.
Yes, it was May 2014 when he told everyone about his borderline personality disorder here. They said that obviously that's not helping everything that else has been going on. He can't do drugs at all.
Right.
He said that everything had to happen for me to learn. Dad had to die. Ben had to die. I had to lose my kids. I had to be humbled. I was too angry, and I had to be crippled and put on my knees to finally realize that I'm not in charge. Wow, that's a really egotistical statement. I'm sorry. I get that people do say that when it's religion, but if you think that God did all that shit, if you think there's a God and God made you, had all that shit done to make you realize something, then you and God are cunts, both of you, because
he killed all those people to make you wash windows,
to make you fucking feel better and realize you were a dick.
Holy!
He could have just had a fucking truck hit you and let everybody else be fine. What the fuck? Like, so that's to think about that. That's a very world revolves around me. Way of thinking, which is. I mean, but I guess if that's the type of I guess if that's the type of thought he needs to have to not beat his girlfriend and do fucking meth, and shoot speed for 3 days, I guess you know what? Let the world revolve around you and your brain. Who cares? You're not hurting anybody, so fuck them.
Just wash the seagull shit off those windows, would you?
There you go. There's a lot of seagulls around here. I'm telling you. So July of 2014, he does an interview with ABC, the Australian broadcasting company. And he described himself as a work in progress and told them, quote, "I'll take ownership of all my shit actions." He said that he's glad he wasn't invited to the 99 X Games Best Trick Contest because if he would have landed the 900 before Tony Hawk, his life would have been completely out of control at that point.
He said he wasn't capable of handling that level of fame.
He said that would have fucked him. He said, I was fucked up anyway, and on the borderline, he goes, that would have made it like, holy shit, I would have been more famous, more rich. It would have really
How about
been
that?
bad. He said, I would probably have died in a bloody hotel room if I made $1 million. That's how God looked after me. I wasn't really trustworthy. I was not the best role model. I was borderline personality disorder. I am an addict in recovery.
Only $1 million would have made him go off the rails.
Oh, it would have fucked him up. Yeah, if you're a drug addict and they give you $1 million and you just beat Tony Hawk finally, you think you're fucking owning it. You think it's being great.
Give me $1 million and I'll start thinking about how I could never be seen ever again.
Here's some pictures of them, too, if you want to slide your chair over. I figured I'd save them for the end rather than have you slide them over every 15 minutes. So that's them as kids.
For heaven's sake.
Little blonde kids in tuxedos here.
Jewel tuxedos. No need for those, boys. No. You are pieces of shit.
They look, they're dressed for court early. They look so Australian. They're just like, if you had to like fucking draw Australian children, that's what they'd look like.
Sun-kissed.
Here they are later.
My God, how sunny is it in Australia?
So sunny. They're just, but they look pretty similar too.
They don't look like Bogan at all, right?
No, here's Ben. But I mean, that's like that's clearly from the same day. So they dressed up.
Very nice day.
They went to a wedding once, is what it looks like. So there's that. Let's see here. There's Ben.
He's ready to skate
in his skating gear here, and here's Taz. There's Ben again.
Yep.
And then here's Taz there.
Oh Jesus!
Taz. He's got the Thug Life Pappas tattoo across his stomach there. So, yeah, there you go.
Holding a skateboard. This once was filled with meth.
A methy skateboard. That is the Pappas brothers.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man. Every once in a while, we have to take like a little slight detour and go into a sport we don't usually talk about and in Australia and kind of reset everything so we can go back to boxing, baseball, football, basketball, all the rest. Because it's
what a horrific waste.
Yeah. Oh, so huge. It's a sad story.
Truly.
It's these two without drugs, and if you took Tony Hawk's, whatever the fuck he does, and had them do all of that, these two would still be on top. I mean, maybe not the top skateboarders, but they'd still be so well known. They'd have fucking video games. They'd have things, especially that there's two of them and they were 1 and 2. If they could have stayed like that, holy shit, that would have been amazing.
Fight back and forth over 1 and 2 also. Taz 2, Taz 1, Taz 2. That's great. Lead
and
changes.
Also, with two of them like that, you could have kind of overwhelmed the Tony Hawk publicity train maybe a little bit because there's two of them. And if and it's a better chance that one of you is going to beat him. And so, I think that would have been, it's really a damn shame. But I mean, they took it themselves. I mean, they put it upon themselves. When you're saying, I'm going to fucking jam 18 different drugs into me and then beat my girlfriend and shit. I understand that they have mental health problems and they're on drugs and all this shit, but at some point you got to go, listen, fuck, guys, get it together. Get your shit together, before you hurt someone.
There is the breaking of the cycle to get out of that whole socioeconomical fucking chase, man. You're chasing your tail all the time, whether it's working to fix your car, working to eat.
We did it for years.
Yeah. It's just a cycle of trying to get to tomorrow, and they got out of it, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
And to their own detriment, put themselves back in. That's so fucked.
Because I don't know how, if you're a teenager, if I was 14, 15, and I loved to do something, and adults were telling me I was so great at it that here's $15,000 a month, which I wouldn't imagine when you're 15 making $15,000 in a year would be insane.
Right.
In a fucking month, and then guys are doing drugs and they're doing really well, and they get chicks and people talk to them and they win competitions, and so it seems like everything's fun. And then it just progresses into your wild life. It's fucking crazy, man. It's a crazy life. So it's like if they went into wrestling at 13. You know what I mean? They were just on the road wrestling at 13 or
being as good
doing
as the
stand-up.
adults. And then you see the adults, and they wish they had that talent at that age.
Fuck yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They'd be like,
or
wow,
recognized for it.
Yeah. If you're beating me and I'm 20 and you're 14, you're going to get better, and I'm probably not going to get a lot better. I can progress a little bit, but you're going to get leaps and bounds better.
And this is what I do while I do this stuff. Here, come hang with me, because they recognize and accept you as one.
When all of your ball hair comes in, you're going to crush me, When you finish puberty, you're going to really kick my ass.
Wow.
So there you go. That's the Pappas brothers.
Unbelievable.
And wild times there. So if you enjoyed that, tell the world about it. Whatever app you're listening on, get on there. You can always review on all these different apps. Give us 5 stars. It helps drive us up charts and let people know that Crime and Sports exists. So do that. Let's spread
it's good.
And it's good. The Crime and Sports movement needs to be going here, because we said we were going to stop the show, and then we decided to keep it going, and so some people think that we stopped the show still. So we got to spread it around again. It's almost like we have to start back at that, not 1, but if we were at 10, we had to start back at 4 again here. So
go Johnny Appleseed the show around.
Absolutely. So do that stuff, and also follow us on social media at Crime and Sports on everything, and then at Small Town Murder on Instagram. You can do that. You definitely want to head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Get your tickets. Small Town Murder live for the rest of the year. Tickets available there. Dallas, Philly, DC, Charlotte, Atlanta.
Chicago.
Get your asses there. Chicago's the next big one.
Yeah.
By the way, the Salt Lake City, it is going to be just these tickets. We tried to move it to a bigger venue, is what it was, because the tickets sold out in a day.
They did. It went so fast,
And so we tried to put it in a place that was like twice the size, and we were going to transfer, but the way it worked out, they couldn't guarantee people's tickets would be near where they were, and it would have been a very complicated mess, and we finally said, you know what? Never mind.
We'll leave it
We'll
there.
stick with this, and next year we'll book a bigger venue in Salt Lake. So all shows are sold out until August 12th when we are in Chicago. It will be our biggest show. Fucking Chicago, come strong for us, please. Do that. You want... Oh, we jacked for that shit.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Patreon. You want Patreon. You absolutely do. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Anybody $5 or above. It's not just giving us $5. We are giving you
we're going to try real hard. I promise.
For a price of a cup of coffee, you're going to get 4 episodes a month on Crime and Sports.
Sometimes 6.
So, sometimes 6 if the weeks work out that way. So it's every other week you get 2 new episodes. There's a couple hundred bonus episodes to binge, and they're fucking good. That's where we lay it down. So on Patreon this week for Crime and Sports, what you're going to get is we're going to talk about something very different and completely not sports related, but hilarious. We do that once in a while. We're going to talk about Stairway to Stardom, which was a public access show in the New York area from the 70s to the 90s, where people would sing, and the acts, you've probably seen clips of it here and there because it's so terrible and bad, and I've never heard Jimmie laugh at anything so hard as when we watch these shows.
It's so much fun.
I'm going to put together some of the real choice clips, and we'll play some of the clips of people's bad singing, and we'll talk about how it happened. And there's death involved in stuff, too.
There's literally 4 good singers. Everybody else is so bad.
Everyone else is terrible. Or like those poor dancers where like you could tell some 13-year-old girl's mother made her do this, and it's bad, dude. It's so she's got to dance to Thriller for fucking 4 minutes by herself. It's bad stuff. We can't wait to show it to you here. So Stairway to Stardom. And then for Small Town Murder, holy shit, it's back again, everybody. By always popular demand, the prisoner dating game is here, baby. That's right. Buckle up. We're going to take 4 bachelors, 4 bachelorettes. The only thing they have in common is they are currently incarcerated, and they're going to be on Jimmy Whisman's radar for a future date, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I'm going to line them all up. It's the all-violent felon edition, of course. No good choices here. Jimmy's going to choose one based solely on their description that they put out on the dating sites for prisoners. He's going to choose one for there, and then when he picks them, he's going to find out what they look like and, most importantly, why they are in prison, what they did to end up there. And it is splendidly hilarious. So check that out. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of that. Yep. And you also get a shout out.
Yes.
When does that shout out happen?
Now.
Right goddamn now. Jimmy, hit me with the names of the people who would never, ever, ever strangle me and wrap me up in a quilt and put their dumbbells in the quilt and make me go to the bottom of a river. Jimmy, hit me with that list right now.
This week's executive producers are Simon Shed. Happy birthday, Simon!
Hey, happy birthday, Simon, you English-Canadian bitch, you.
Liz Nelson just became a Meemaw. Congratulations. That's a brand new grandchild.
Congrats.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Hell
Kathy Lang is coming to the Denver show.
Well, we'll see you there.
Happy Mother's Day, Kathy.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so
Absolutely,
much. Can't wait
Kathy.
to see you there. Alexander, CPella, and Kayla. They're getting married May 20th.
Oh, congrats.
Congratulations.
Make some little paisans. Look at you.
You found love, you sons of bitches. Karen Lewis in Anne Arundel said hello and thank you, and we were right. Nothing was wrong.
Thank you. Good. That makes us feel better. Good.
Other producers this week are Rabbi Shmulovich's fresh trim nose hairs. That's a nice day. You get to breathe clean.
Oh, terrific.
Get all that filthy air in there that the nose hairs filtered. Brandy Huntley, Peyton Meadows, Anna Moore, Maureen Ponderosa. You know who she is, that chick from It's Always Sunny, right? That
It's
was
Always Sunny, Ponderosa.
Didn't you perform with that lady? What's her name?
Marilyn Rice.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, she's
that's who it is.
Fucking awesome lady.
What a
real
woman.
Cool. She was on 24 and all that shit too.
Yeah, but Maureen, she does the best. That's the best
she's amazing. No, she does. Yeah, she does. The Slug. What's her name?
Oh, it's not Maureen, is it?
It's not Maureen. No, Maureen is the one that wants to fuck Dennis all the time. Yeah. She's
Slug
a
house,
Maureen is Maureen is the one that he married, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Right.
Yes. High school girlfriend or some shit. Yes, that's who it was. And then sorry,
Marilyn's the Slug. You're right.
We figured it out. Yes.
Janice Hill, Scott Anastasio. Atanasio. All right. Dr. Seymour Cooter, OBGYN. Steve Schnell, Megan Showiker, Mabel H, Samantha Hall, Patty Cole, Jordan Frumkin, Lance Lunsford, Michael McCann, Rayanne McGregor, Callaghan Wilson, Crystal P, Stephen with no last name, your wafu is trash, Jasmine Madison Vaughn, Greg Nacktrebe, Charles Allen Burnside, Zach Mills, Kaylee Kopersky, Katie with no last name, Obi Toe, Gretchen Zukaskus, I don't know, Jill Robson, Sid Matt 14, Jessica Hudson, Ashley Knotts, Stuart Hill, Carly Boyd, Katie Edwards, Tyson Garrison, James Apuzzo, Gabrielle V, Victoria Luca, Danny Carbonneau, Joy Nicholson, Tiffany with no last name, Gregory Smith, Leanne M, Liz with no last name but also a question mark, Becky Thuma Butcher, Mark Fisher, Tracy McDonald, Jordan with no last name, Dory Greenaway, Daniel Masick, Simon Pyrick, Craig, I got a small loan, Kozara, he got a small loan, not a mortgage, just a very small loan. Joe Womack, Sandra Contarado,
copier or something.
Got shoes on the credit card. Denny McIntyre, Sandra Hegeman, Valentin Garcia, Valentin. All right, Amanda Klein Gilmore, Kenna Bradley, Will Plummer, Talos Franks, Gabriel Johnson Cameron, Doug Tim. Doug,
get some trim. Get that trim, Doug. Let's do it.
WNP, EVJ, Kelly Carman, Norma Jean, Ansarel Muhammad. I know what Muhammad is. Kate Legler, Cassandra Brooks, Jane Gigante. There's no E. It's an I on the end. Debbie McLarnon, Callie Living 805, Michelle Pope, Audrey Touche maybe, Ross Jenkins, Miranda Lynn, Carrie Netherton, Nicole Coulter, Joseph Carranza, Andy Redmond, Beth Heyday, Megan Kleinfelder, Daniel Crowder, Sarah with no last name, Carrie McBride, Dina Dyer, Christina Hatfield, Mario Poirier, Sue Thompson, Becky with no last name, Brady Eilers, Kim Van Kirk, John, what? That's Aaron, Jimmie, Pettis, Grant Clark, Aaron Herford, Jonathan and Joshua, Bri Elliott, maybe Bri Elliott, Adam Gibson, Mariah Shipley, I think, Sabrina Holbrook, Benjamin Scott, Jolene with no last name, Dan Nicholson, Linda Galantine, Ann Kozik, Bridget Lavish, Pete Grebus, Miss S.O.D. Let's see, what's this? 22, Kelly Ketchup 721. Wow. Andy with no last name. We got ketchup in there. Matthew Dinterman, Rex Remix Bar 9. Jonathan Mackey, yes. Mike Watson, Kim Moreland, Alana Hall, Walter Strickland, Sexy Sahara, oh boy, James Cantrell, William Cant, Tito's
Yes, he
Time,
can,
Ashley.
Jimmy, he can. I believe in you, William. You can do it.
Ashley Anderson, Julie Hall, Laura Austin, Flash McGee, Rhiannon Lovelace, Jordan with no last name, Nate Lonsky, Grant Silver, Andrew Young, Nikki West, Chelsea Ockfish, Gary Pickren, Matthew Layton maybe, Darcy Jolene, UC Woods Epoxy and Supply. You may want to check on them. Brandon.
If you need epoxy.
or supply.
Or supplies for epoxy.
Brandon Sneed and Tillisjor. Raphael Parra, Megan Beals, Andrew Pace, Bridget Maloney, Thomas Ledbetter, Brad Mays, SP, no name at all, just S and a P, Grace of Base, Jonathan Paulson, Jane and Rose, no last name for either. Isn't that terrific?
I love Grace of Base. That's the best name so far.
Tremendously.
That's awesome. Good job.
Johnny Kickifer, Steve Ripple, Laura Lewis, Gabrielle Armstrong, Anthony Valla, Natalie Baker, AZ Native. Hey, how about that? Maddie Gibbons, sorry about it. It's hot there. Robin and Michael C. Shelley Jarrell maybe. Jessica Queen, Kelly Morris, Rock Trotter, Wilson Fields, Brenna Miles, Erica Graves, Janelle Borgstrom. That sounds great.
Hi, Janelle. Perfect.
Casey Graybill, Ben Bicknell, Madison Wren, Mentally Ill Emily, samesies. Kristen with no last name, Justin Palker, and all of our patrons. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for all that you do for us, for all that you've done for us, and for all that you plan to do in the future. We appreciate it so much. Thanks for hanging with us on Patreon. We hope you love the episodes. We get good feedback, so people keep their subscriptions and come back for more, so that must be decent. So thank you so much for hanging with us like that. Thank you for everything. You want to follow us on social media? Extremely easy to do. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Check out that menu, links to everything, including us on social media. So do that. Hang with us. Keep coming back every week live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel. Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.